much is an art writer typically paid?
Nothing.
That's true. OTINO, I understand that artUS magazines pays their writers absolutely nothing. But I've been writing for them for 5 years, and I submit an art review a month from Toronto, and OTINO is like the only other correspondent. But yeah, so how much would, let's say I wanted to write an art review for C Magazine, how much money would I get?
Reviews pay $100.
And how quick do you get that money?
Is it a year? It's a year.
It's a year, and the contract, it says, you promise us we don't have to pay you until next year at this time. Do we want to, since we're on the topic of finance, how much do other art magazines pay? Let's say we write a big feature about fantastic artists for a Canadian art magazine. How much are we going to get?
Most I've got from Canadian art is $1,500.
I was going to say 2,000, but that's the magic number! Come on down! What about border crossings? How much do you get? Does anybody in the... If you know the answer to this question, I will give you a glass of...
200 a review.
It's what?
200 a review.
No, it's 275!
What?
You're being ripped off!
They're ripping you off.
275 or 300, depending on the mood of the cabal, is how much you're getting paid. So as you see, it's really difficult to make a living as an art critic in Canada when there are 3 art magazines and when not many of them pay. I think also Art in America pays 150 for and how much does Flash Art pay?
It pays €50 for a review. But they don't guarantee, they're like they say, we'll pay you at some time in the future, because there's bank fees, and so they want you to build up your...
So while I'm bitching as an art critic for we don't get paid anything, you've been on the other side of things where you are the editor and you understand what's it like to run an art magazine. So do you want to let us in on that a little bit?
Well, it was a good experience. I was with C for almost 5 years, I think. I'm really, really happy it's in the past now.
Why do you say that?
Because it's a big headache and it's a lot of responsibility with some reward, but there's a lot of people on your back and
a lot of needy writers.
Working with the writers is the best part.
Really?
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, then what's the worst part?
I know.
Dealing with the board, I have to say. I'm sorry.
Okay, so the board sort of decides shifts your editorial to where they want it instead of where you want it in your vision.
Yeah, that didn't happen so much, but there's just, the board's, it's a long conversation, but a board's supposed to be a fundraising board, or that board is, but yeah, there's a lot of power without responsibility, because fundraising still falls to the staff, which, and it's underfunded, that's all. It's total hell.
Okay. It's total hell.
Yeah.
What's that?
Donate to C.
Donate to C, subscribe.
Nick is now on the board, but he wasn't there when I was So anyway, sorry I had to say that. I was really traumatized by that aspect of the job. Otherwise, it had a lot of advantages.
What was the moment when you knew you decided you wanted to quit?
What was the moment? I don't know. It just came to its logical conclusion, and I wanted to move on. So
there's something I've always respected about you is the fact that you're probably editing 45,000 words of art writing, every 2 months or something, or quarterly for the magazine, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And in your last editorial, you said something that was really interesting about what a lot of art writers do. There's this really popular trend of complicating things. You said that theoretical writing stems from the occupational hazard of having to edit it. More often than not, the application of theory to the consideration of artworks makes for bad writing. So why do you think that a lot of art writers make the mistake of trying to use big words in order to impress us?
Well, I mean, probably that's not the reason to use big words.
But that's what it seems like. It's like you're using this big wall in order to impress me and keep me out. And
yeah, I mean, at its best, it's philosophical thinking, and so it requires big words, but it's debatable. And quite often that language is used badly, and I always thought it could be said in a simpler way, and so that was my editorial line for the magazine. But other magazines, like Philip, for instance, from Vancouver, they're much more...
Are they still going?
Are they still going?
Yeah,
I think they're doing... Yeah, I think they're doing quite well, so...
see. And just to sort of, I figure like it's kind of interesting to get the background as to why each critic got into art writing. Like, how did you become an art critic? I'm just curious.
I just knew lots of artists, I think, that's all.
Was that when you were studying the Queen's art history?
I went to U of T.
Somebody did their homework. Did you take art history as?
I took. No, I didn't. I took literary studies.
Oh, okay. So you just hung out with a bunch of artists, and that you were so intrigued by them that you were like, oh my god.
Yeah, that was exactly what it was like.
Okay. There's something that I have to ask about, like, because you are the only sort of, well, no, it's also an arts editor now, but you, because you've been an arts editor for a while, how did you know, let's say you have 25 writers write you and say, I want to review the show, but you only have room for 5 spaces for art reviews. How do you decide? Is it the quality of the writer's work, or is it the artist that they want to review that speaks to you?
Yeah, it's all those factors. I mean, what if that gallery has had a review in recent months? That would be a factor.
They advertise in your magazine.
I mean, that a lot of magazines work on that principle. I mean, C has kind of not such good advertising base to begin with, so it wasn't really a factor.
Yeah. Advertising C.
Yeah. And how much is an ad to get like a quarter page ad?
I think C is Kate Monroe here. No. Unfortunately, but they lowered their rates, which I think was a good move.
Well, they had to. They were the most expensive of all the art magazines.
Were they really?
Yeah.
Were they?
Okay, so there you go.
So maybe that's why they
Lowered
lowered it.
them.
That's strange that C magazine would be more expensive for ads than Kate.
And it could still be the most
That's
expensive.
just weird.
Well, who reads Canadian?
But who's
I'm
what?
just curious who reads it. Artists hate it. No one
Yeah.
actually.
Who hates Canadian Art Magazine? Raise your hand. Oh, we've got one. We've got 3, 4, 5 people saying it doesn't really make sense. How many people have written for Canadian art here? Except for like me and Otina, we're sticking with the Americans. No, I did write for them, but just whatever. It didn't, you know. What writers give you the hardest time? You gotta check who's here. We need binoculars. Does it matter anymore? Because you're writing now. You're writing essays. Now you're writing more criticism and like, are you working towards a book kind of thing, or?
Yeah, I think that I'd like to do something a little longer. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up is Murray. Murray White from the Toronto Star, everyone.